Steam and Valve. This type of stuff got a long history to it. As Valve opened up Steam as a storefront in the early 2000s. Sure, it was panned back then, but it has genuinely improved and became one of the most used stores in history of the PC market. So with the popularity popping up, let me take you guys back to its original history before we talk about the system itself. Now, before the Steam Deck came out and all of that, Valve teamed up with Alienware to bring out this thing called the Steam Machine. It was meant to be a computer home console that uses the Steam OS, or it's just a Linux, but it's also known as the Steam OS. The only problem was that the system wasn't even that powerful, and there was a lack of games that was able to be played onto the thing. They also had this few other accessories as the Steam controller and the Steam Link, but I'll get to those things in a little bit. So, the Steam controller is essentially a mixed bag between a computer's own keyboard and a controller. It was meant for you guys to play with the keyboard and the mouse from a couch, and that was what it was meant to be. It's not a bad controller, but that's all I can say about that. There's actually quite a few different ways to play the thing. You can use a wire method or put in 2 AA batteries, and where you put them? Well, you open this latch at the back of the controller, and you put the batteries on both of the grips. I wish I was making this up, but what I can tell you guys about the controller is that it's a little awkward to use. It's complicated. Oh, they don't make them anymore for anyone that's wondering, but if you guys are gonna go find one, they're rather expensive now. The Steam controller actually was meant to come with the Steam machine, and that was its prime thing. Instead of the R-stick, you had this thing called the trackpad. It's supposed to be like an R-stick type thing, but it's a touchpad instead. It's like you're using a trackball, which is something they've described on the controller's trailer. But another thing is that it's not a bad controller. I think it might come in handy if you guys just feel like you want to use it in terms of like a mouse and keyboard from a couch perspective. Overall, it's not a bad controller, but you might want to get used to it when it comes to using it. But then there was also the Steam Link. Well, what is it, you ask? Well, it's a piece of plastic. You're supposed to use this for another TV screen. You're supposed to hook it up on your computer and hook the thing up to your TV so you can play it from the TV instead of the computer. Thankfully, they got rid of that in favor of a store's own mobile app. So what do you use it for? You play computers from your devices, which I thought was a pretty good idea, but the piece of plastic was unnecessary and could be quite complicated from another room's perspective. What am I going to talk about now? The Steam Deck, of course. In 2021, they unveiled the system, and it was coming out. This thing costs a lot of money, and I'm not making this up. Yeah, it ranged from like $400, $500, $600. Seriously, that's a lot of money, and it's a Steam Deck we're talking about. It's a handheld computer, and what does it do? It lets you play games. Well, for one thing, I can tell you guys about the system, it's pretty comfortable to use. I wasn't sure on the design, but once I got my hands on it, it's pretty much more comfortable than the Nintendo Switch. The trackpads on there are pretty much improved from the Steam controller that I've already talked about. There's also the back buttons, which is the same thing they have with the Steam controller. But the only thing is that not only that the thing is comfortable, it also has touchscreen support. So meaning you can touch stuff that you can use for a keyboard or whatever. Yeah, this thing has a virtual keyboard. There's also a Steam Deck's own dock system, which costs you a little bit more money. You have to get it separately, which is the only unfortunate thing. But fortunately, for you guys that want a carrying case, you guys can actually get that. It actually comes in package with the Steam Deck controller, so you're all set and done with that one. But there's also these screen protectors, which they're cool, but the touchscreen can be pretty effective. Not that it gets something touched by accident, but you're trying to touch the thing, and sometimes it might take a little bit more of a hard press to do it. But there's also these sleeves where you could put up your, little protection for your case and whatever too. So that's kind of one thing I can say about that one. Now, there's also a charging port that you guys can use. It actually comes with a charger. It looks like a big giant box, one of those box things that nobody likes. It's a USB-C port, So that's all I can say about that part. But for the dock, it operates the same way, except you can actually play on your TV or computer screen. Any way you guys like wanted to do such thing. Also, if you guys play on your TV, you can enable HDR, so you can technically play this game system in 4K, which is the main idea of these computers. But why are they expensive, you might be asking? Well, it's powerful. For one thing, it's one of the most powerful handhelds you'll ever grab entirely. Seriously, this thing is powerful that you can even play so many different games on there. Just like the Steam machine, it has a compatibility issue. In fact, it uses the Linux operating system, but they call it the Steam OS. But thankfully, you can use this thing as a computer if you really want to, which is actually pretty cool. You can go on Firefox, Google Chrome, watch some YouTube, or maybe chat on Discord if you really want to. Yes, Discord is actually compatible with the thing. I actually tested it myself. It's pretty insane how they actually did that. Also, this thing's an emulation machine. It actually does a pretty good job playing emulators on the thing. I'm sure I'm playing people already made fails on that, but I'm not going to go too much in depth about that. But what's the thing about the system that's so negative? The battery life. Yes, the battery life is the biggest con of the system. The Switch has a much better battery life than this, but that really depends on what games you play. Emulation games don't really take much battery, which is a good thing. But other games that are huge in terms of graphics or whatever, it may be a different story. There is some good news, is that you can actually play around with the system settings, maybe adjusting the brightness setting, or maybe you want to play the game in lower settings, so that way you can save your battery. There's also airplane mode on the thing, so if you want to play while you're on the flying towards another state or country, then this is for you. Also, just like the Switch, the system also uses the micro SD card as an external storage. I have a 1TB one, and it actually works pretty well. But when you guys install, you choose the option as to where you want to install these games. The reason why the prices of the whole thing, now we're still in the topic of storage for those that are wondering, it's because of the storage. Some of them are like 200 gigs or 500 or 1TB. That's why the price is such a thing. But depending which one you choose, you actually get a bundle for your own Steam page. Maybe a exclusive virtual keyboard, or maybe a profile picture thingy, or anything else you guys can think of. Also, depending which storage you have, your install times could be much faster, or anything, maybe like load times maybe, but mostly the installation issues. Yeah, some of them are slow, some of them are fast. It just depends on the size and what kind of storage device you have on the thing. So some of it is NVMe and some of it is not. You gotta look into it. But like I said before, the game isn't compatible with everything. You have to check to see if it's actually verified. There's a system that actually tells you if they are verified to play or not. The green is all said and done. The yellow is playable, but you might have to like type in a keyboard or something else like that. But everything else is fine. Resident Evil 4, the 2005 game, may have the whole thing when it comes to the yellow, but it's still playable with the controller regardless, which is good. Also, the system allows you, well, just like the Steam controller, as I should mention this, it allows you to make up your own keybinds for games that do not support the controller in mind. Meaning, you can customize it any way you want, and you can actually publish those control layouts for other people to use in case you guys ever want to do such thing. And it pretty much works. Though, you might want to like find a good control scheme before you start playing. But once you guys test it, everything should be fine for you guys. The system's also compatible with your PlayStations and your Xbox controllers, but I highly recommend the Xbox controller for the best experience only because most games support it. Now, I am aware that the Switch controllers are also compatible with Steam, though I really haven't played much with the Switch controller. Most of these games are usually used with the PlayStation or Xbox. They do tell you this in the game's descriptions below there, but just stick with the Xbox. Wired or Bluetooth, but turn on Bluetooth because it's automatically off. But one of the games I've tested on this thing was Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to show you guys much of it, but Baldur's Gate 3 is actually a pretty good game. It's actually verified to play, by the way. Though, there's only one problem. The battery life is draining. I found these tutorials that you supposedly preserve your battery life, but I had this rapid battery life issue. But I found a way that you'll able to thank me later for this. Okay, so if you notice that the thing's rapidly draining without anything happening, that's a bad sign. Just put your system on BIOS mode, let the thing drain out its battery, recharge it for at least 5 to 8 hours, and then turn it on and your battery life will be all completed. So yeah, you shouldn't have a problem following up that tutorial whenever you can find it. So, it's cool. It works. So, there's also this Oled version of the system. It's supposed to have better battery life and better screen, and you guys can play 120 frames on there, but I haven't got it yet because the thing's expensive. They lowered the price of the original Steam Deck, which is cool, but I'm waiting to see what kind of deal that I can find for the OLED version, whether it be a sale. I mean, they did a sale for the original Steam Deck, so I'm hoping they'll do the same thing with the other one. Alright, like I said, it's supposed to have better battery life. It's easy to repair too. It has a improved carrying case. I have no idea what needs to be improved there, but okay. If it needs to be improved, alright. But there's also improved Wi-Fi and more storage compatibility. Well, more storage-wise. But, like I said, you can still use the micro SD card and everything, so it's cool. So the games I've shown you guys are huge examples of games that actually can run on the system with the controller in mind. Though some of them may use a mouse controls for navigating menus or whatever. Some are partially supported in terms of games, and some are fully supported. You just gotta look into them. I would talk about more games to run and through, but we'd be here all day. Besides, like I already told you guys, some games don't work on there. It even tells you that. You could try, but it's not going to do well for you guys. Also, the Linux operating system is pretty similar to the Windows operating system, so I didn't have a hard time with that thing. Also, if you put their thing on the dock, you can use the mouse and keyboard to play as if you were on an actual computer. So if you guys are thinking about doing such thing, then this is for you. Bluetooth or wired, it doesn't matter. I used the Steam controller in that thing, and it pretty much fits perfectly. Though I already told you my issues with the thing. So if you guys are thinking about getting yourself a portable computer system that you want to take out the thing, you want to go somewhere place, or maybe you just want to play the deck on non-TV, if you can't find a way, this is for you. It's actually a pretty good system, but it's like I said, not everything works, so you have to make sure you check the verification system before you make your purchase, which I definitely recommend you guys do such thing. Older games don't work, as I can pretty much tell, because they're all made for keyboard, but later games like Half-Life and Postal 2 later got updates that allows you to play the game with full controller support, which is actually pretty cool. But speaking of popular games, I know I'm leaving out some popular games, but despite them being powerful for the thing, you can't play it. Why? Well, multiplayer reasons. Destiny 2 refuses to let you play the game, and they warned you about being banned from the game. I wish I was kidding. They actually said this, and news articles flooded with the whole thing. If I want to play an online game on the go, I should be able to do such thing. You'll need to connect some sort of internet for online games, but if you want to play games offline, you shouldn't have a problem with it. As long as you got the games installed on the systems, no problems. So if you guys just want to get other applications on the thing, you can. They've already confirmed you can install Windows on the Steam Deck. Why? I have no idea. I heard some say that it's not recommended, but just check for the experts before you make up your mind. But just keep it as SteamOS for the time being. But all I can say is that this game system is pretty great. It's definitely recommended, but definitely save up your money before you make your purchase, because these things are freaking expensive. Seriously, it's like paying for a PC that's $1,000, yet it's slightly cheaper than $1,000, but you're still getting a more powerful handheld than anything else. And you know what's the funniest thing about this system? I forgot to mention one thing. It has a built-in microphone so you can talk to people from the deck. I really wish I was making this up. I don't know how the mic quality is, but I tested on Discord one day and people didn't believe me until I showed my screen. It was pretty funny. But yeah, if you guys are thinking, well, as Xbox fans, if you guys want a portable Xbox, you can play Xbox games on this thing. And that's a good thing. Because if you took your Xbox account with your save data in there via cloud, you have a good time with it. So what can I say about this thing? Well, for one thing, it works. Despite the battery issue, you can always find your way to play around with the settings and lower the graphic setting, whatever. And you can be able to play a game no problem. But again, lower graphics will save you battery, and so will the screen brightness. But again, if you are looking into battery rapid problems, just remember what I said. BIOS mode, let the thing die out, recharge it for several hours, and you're all set in there. But other than the problem with the battery, the thing is actually pretty good. And it operates pretty well too. So, most of these games I actually have are playable. And I want to say maybe like 40% of mine are at least verified to play. So if you guys are thinking about getting one of these things, go right ahead. Definitely get the more powerful version just for the best experience, because you'll have a much longer battery life. In fact, it's 12 hours of battery life, but that really depends on what games that you guys have or what you're going to be playing with. But again, I wouldn't say every online game works with the thing, but if you guys can get around to playing this thing with more single player games, you guys can do that. So play around and you can see what happens. There's plenty of like things you can mess around with. There's even these startup stuff, meaning if you have these Steam points, you can use to spend on startup screens. So you have so many ways to do such things. You even randomly generate them in terms of like, you choose this thing, you choose that one. But yeah, big picture mode, everything's there. But that's all I can say about this. It's actually a pretty good system. So if you guys are thinking about getting it, go right ahead. Just save up your money, because this thing is expensive.